Welcome. This is David Bull's Human Meme. Today's topic: 99% of writing is looking out the window. It's always frustrating when the non-writer tells the writer how and when and why to write. And then that person tries to set up your process and manage your hopes to demand the execution of your dreams. Now, as the author of more than 50 books and thousands of articles and more than 275 Human Meme podcast episodes, I can guarantee you 99% of writing is looking out the window. Because looking out the window is where you get the inspiration for the word. And you're looking out that window alone and without the company of others. And you look through the world to see into your writing. Now, this looking and this pondering and this thinking is vital to the process of creation. And you have to think through all the angles and all the relationships of your writing, and then forge the dramatic storyline. And whatever you write, a news story, a poem, a love letter, a play, a movie, they all have a dramatic storyline. And then, in the blaze of a few days or even a few hours, you write it all out and that's it. That's the 1% left over, the writing it down part. And most authors I know don't really do much revising or editing after all of that. It just all tumbles out and it's done. And that process works for me and for many writers. But that success doesn't stop us from still getting criticized by those who do not really know or understand our process. Those who disagree believe if we are not putting down words actively every second in front of them in their company, well, then we're not really writing. They think when we're sitting, thinking, looking out the window, that we are procrastinating, we are not getting the job done. Or that we're just flat out lying to them when we say we are just pondering the world ahead of us, right through that window. Why aren't you writing, they ask. Why are you just sitting there, they wonder. Exhausting, we reply. And we can brush off all those inquiries and let it go, when those who do not know criticize us and belittle our process. But, my human meme friend, the real trouble comes when an editor or a producer or a money person, the person paying you, and who does not write, demands to see our work product every day. Or they demand updates on where we are and who we are and what we're thinking and what we're doing and what we do and who are you. And sure, there are contracts that stipulate deadlines and considerations. But no contract can stop those daily inquiries into what is supposed to be a private process. And you may know what it feels like to have an editor or a producer who gave you 6 months to finish a work, and then they turn around and just check in every week or so, or hour, or day to read what you've written. Well, it's impossible. Real writing cannot happen in that sort of vacuous vacuum. You can't give them something to read if there's nothing written down to be shared. How can you share your vision outside a window? And the most of us, the writers, always hit our deadlines. That's why we're hired guns. That's why we are professionals. That's why we are aesthetic assassins. And we often hit those deadlines early. But that doesn't really matter to them. They want to be a part of the process, to get their hands all into it and to collaborate and to provide their insight into the writing process. And we don't need any of that, thank you. And here's what's funny. They'd never dare to get that involved like that with a brain surgeon or a car mechanic or even a composer of music, because they know they don't know enough to even open their mouths. But because they can write an email or write a grocery list or write a contract, they believe they are on the same scale and the same level of velocity as the author. No author will interfere with another author's writing process. We know what it's like. We tend to leave each other alone. And all of this can be a problem because only one person needs to write what needs to be written, and then you can turn it over for collaboration and feedback. But when something is written by committee or by undue influence of the money person, well, big problems happen because autonomy is lost. Morality is undestined. And all the looking out the window in the world is abandoned. And when a written piece becomes stale and impeachable, and worst of all, ordinary, well, for those who do not know, the ordinary and the familiar are just fine. But the ordinary and the familiar are never okay or fine for the true author. And that's where everything gets really hard for the new writer, the amateur writer, who is easily stifled and who is not able to stand up for their process, and who is also ruined by those money people who have no clue what something extraordinary looks like or feels like in the life of the mind, because they have no clue how to make something that is not ordinary, because they are only familiar with the ordinary. Finding the right team, and everyone is eventually all on the same team, is vital. And that vitality begins and ends with leaving the writer alone 99% of the time, so the writer may stare out the window and write down everything later in a 1% blaze. That blaze is all a bursting of a cyst with subsequent pus and vinegar flowing from the wound like a remnant of lost inspiration and a ramekin of drained hope. Just remember, looking is thinking. Thinking is seeing. Vision is the word. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.